Nobody's like that. Nobody's doing what I'm doing, which is cool. And it's an honor to be able to. I signed up with the UFC with the intent to be able to be a CEO one day, like to be able to have like a part of the company as an owner.
I don't want to step on the entire video. I would encourage you guys to go watch it. But first of all, he says a lot of things that I really agree with, like from a like an ideological perspective. I don't know. I just agree with a lot of that. But also, you have this like really heavy level of like, what, dude? You want to be an owner of the UFC? And he goes into this long thing about it, about becoming an owner of the UFC. You're like, dude, that's not gonna happen, man. Like that's not gonna happen. I don't know what that is. And then he talks about how he almost died making weight when Khabib pulled out of the fight. The time that he just did it for himself and then put it on Instagram. And you're like, you almost died doing that. Like, that's not a smart thing. You know what I mean? Your longevity is tied to your ability for your body to be able to withstand the impact and kind of life of a professional fighter. You don't take damage for no reason. I mean, bygones are bygones. There's nothing you can do. Anyway, whatever. I just wanted to show you guys that. Now let's look at the rest of this full video that I did. When he walked up the stairs and I saw that tattoo on his back, that in this completely recognizable tattoo, that's what pure violence looks like. Like there is nothing else there. Like he's goofy on the microphone. There is nothing but sheer fucking terror right there. All right, Jesse on Fire. Welcome back. Tony Ferguson is fighting this weekend, and I'm going to talk about something that I haven't heard anybody say about this about his situation going into the fight. I mean, people have all been talking about him training with David Goggins and whether or not it's a good thing, bad thing, whatever. All of it has had to do with functional questions. Is this the best type of training for Tony Ferguson going into this fight? I'll talk about that also. But what I think is that the decision to go with Goggins says way more than you think, way more. And it demonstrates his mindset. And I hate doing this. I really do. Because I don't like hating on guys, but I have to say what's true. It shows a total delusion. Okay. Like I hadn't even really thought about it that much until today. And I was like, wow, dude, it's like almost the same as when he said he's just hitting his prime after he had lost 5 in a row. I'm just coming into my prime. And you're like, dude, listen, I love watching Tony Ferguson fight. I think he's one of the most exciting guys to watch. And he was, just running through guys. I've said I think he's basically the equivalent of you going back to the 1400s and just capturing like the most dangerous Mayan or Aztec fighter in the world and just bringing him back to 2010 and then putting him in the octagon. But you have to be objective when we're talking about guys' careers. And for Tony Ferguson after 5 in a row to say he's just coming into his prime is so delusional. It's like scary. Now, he also has had a bunch of incidents with the family that I've talked about him before, but if you actually read about what happened, like when he took his kid and all that, and like he wasn't like hurting his kid, but like when he explains what was going on in his head about why he took his kid and he took his wife and they went to the desert, because he believed the apocalypse was coming and all, like it's like really, it's gnarly, like it's really gnarly stuff. But again, the David Goggins thing, I'm going to tell you right now what no one else is saying about why this is so key to understanding the just total delusion of the way he's looking at things. Now, before I do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. No one else asks like this. I love you guys. I would do it for you. It doesn't matter to you, but it matters a lot to me. So if you didn't mind subscribing to the channel, costs nothing. Click the subscribe one time. And then we're done with it. That's what it is. Also, I need to thank the sponsor of this video, Happy Hippo. Happy Hippo has an incredible variety of Kratom products, but I don't want to overwhelm you with them. So I'm just going to say this. Go try these energy shots. They're like a 5-hour energy with Kratom in them. I take one every single day now, right before I go to jiu-jitsu. It is the best thing ever. I train better. I enjoy practice more, which is challenging to do. But go on happyhippo.com, find these Kratom shots. They actually have a new flavor that's like this cookie flavor that is, it actually tastes good. Kratom tastes terrible. These ones taste good. They actually taste good. And they're very inexpensive compared to what you're used to paying for Kratom shots. Go on happyhippo.com, find the Kratom shots, give them a run. Use the promo code JesseOnFire. You will get a ridiculous deal, and you will be very happy that you did. I love you guys very much. Happyhippo.com. Give them a run. You'll be happy that you did. Now, I have two other things that I want to show you about Tony Ferguson also later in the video. I want to show you what Michael Bisping has said about Tony Ferguson going into this fight, which is very notable. I also want to show you a conversation Joe Rogan had about Tony Ferguson. And I'm going to show you guys that right after I give you my take on the David Goggins thing. Okay? So here's the deal. Here is what I realized about the choice to put on David Goggins. All right? So when you think about bringing on a new coach and you think about what they're going to bring to the table, all right, so one of the things that Rogan says in his clip is he's like, yeah, okay, like improving cardio is good, but sparring is really important also. So, you know, if you were going to bring on an expert, bringing on someone who was going to help you with your technique, your sparring and all that, that would have been a really good choice. You know, cardio has never really been a problem for Tony. So you think about that, like Tony is crazy, but he's not stupid, right? So there is a reason why he would bring a certain guy into his camp, okay? So what would that be for David Goggins when you know that cardio is not that? It's not cardio. Tony Ferguson has never had an issue with cardio, so it ain't that. What is it? Why would he bring on Goggins? Goggins is about mindset, okay? So Goggins is about mindset. That's his whole thing. He's like, you can overcome anything. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. I was a 300-pound person who was killing bugs for a living, and I became a Navy SEAL. I run, I run 100-mile, whatever. He's got his knees rubbing on each other. All his cartilage is gone. He still just gets through it because the pain. He convinced himself that he likes the pain, right? His ability to control his own mind is unmatched. It's unbelievable what David Goggins can do with his brain, as he proves a person can do. He dives into the pain, okay? So what does that actually say about where Tony Ferguson's mind is? It means that Tony thinks the only reason that he's losing is because of his mindset, okay? That's what he's telling himself, is that I'm losing because I lost the edge, right? My mindset isn't right. That's why I've been losing. I need somebody to get my mind right. It's like, dude, you know, like that is probably not why you're losing. You know what I mean? Like that, I'm not saying that it's obviously very important, you know, that a person has the right mindset going into a fight. But if that's the only person you brought on, then what you're saying is you think that's the only reason that you're losing. And it's like, dude, you got to be honest with yourself at a certain point. Like, and I'm saying this literally like 1 video ago, I was saying, I don't ever talk shit about guys and talk about when they should retire. And I'm not doing that, you know, and I even used Tony Ferguson as the example. I'm like, I've never even said Tony Ferguson should retire. Why is that the example that I used? Right? It's like, okay, if a guy has lost 6 in a row, right? He's lost 6 in a row. And he keeps saying after the fight, he's going to come back and he's going to win the title. And it's like, okay, so you know, this is a person whose mind is protecting itself in some kind of way, because I assume he's thinking about what everybody's thinking about, you know, that I talked about. It's like, dude, if he's not a professional fighter, what is he, right? So I'm not saying that I know what the right answer is. I just know that assuming that the only reason you're losing is your mindset, and then bringing in a guy whose only expertise is convincing you that you can get through anything. It's like, this is professional fighting, okay? You could come to me and you could get me to absolutely believe with every fiber in my body that I'm going to go into the octagon and I'm going to fight Anthony Smith and win. And you know what's going to happen? He's going to fucking kick my teeth down my throat. 100%. There is no scenario. There's no amount of belief where I'm going to win that fight. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not going to happen. That's not a thing that's going to fucking happen. And so there is this level of reality when it comes to this sport where mindset ain't it, dude. Like, you need to accept, if you want to start winning it, you need to accept where you are not the same person, and then train your skills around that, right? Like I've always heard like these kind of veterans, especially in jiu-jitsu, where they talk about where like the more a person relies on being explosive, the shorter their career is going to be, right? And so when and Tony's not that though, you know, but guys who have a really relaxed style and they technique and they don't get explosive, it's like as they lose that explosiveness, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't really matter, you know, and so they can fight much, much longer. So, you know, and listen, dude, this is just the reality of the situation. All right. This is my favorite example to demonstrate why, you know, bodies break down and can't perform at the same level, no matter what their brain is, no matter what their skills are in this sport. Okay. So with Tony Ferguson, we all know that the inflection point of his career was the Justin Gaethje fight, right? He took such a tremendous amount of damage in that fight that he's never been the same, right? And I think for a lot of people that it's a thing that they say, but they haven't really thought about the functionality of why that is the case, okay? So here's how I explain it. Think of take the soul out of a human body, right? Take the soul out of a human body and just think about it as a machine, as like as just a device, you know, a very complicated device, and hang it on a meat hook. So it's just going to sit there. And then think about how it works. You have a heart. It pumps blood through your veins. They go all over the place. It makes your muscles able to move. You have a nervous system which tells your limbs what to do. How are you able to make that thing work the best? Is if you have clear pathways in your nervous system, brain through here, you know, you think it, bam, and you just react because everything's clear. Everything is healthy. Everything is clear. Your bones are clear. Your nerves are clear. Your veins are clear. All of that stuff is clear. Now, picture that body, put it on a meat hook, and then envision what Justin Gaethje did in that fight to that body, okay? Bap, 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 whap, whap, and just visualize what's actually happening on the inside of the body when it gets hit like that, right? Damage, 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 damage to the neck, to the head, to the base of the skull where it meets the top of the spine. All of that stuff is taking damage. And it never heals all the way back. When you're 21, even then, dude, you take a hellacious beating like that, it's not going to heal all the way back. It's going to heal better than when you're 37, but it's not going to heal all the way back. And so when you think about that and you picture all of that scar tissue around here, especially around here, where your nerves are connecting to the rest of your body, think it and you quickly react. If you put inhibitors there, scar tissue, things that are going to block your central nervous system, central nervous system's ability to send messages to the rest of your body. You are talking about very small reductions in speed, but they're there. Okay? They're there. This game is a game of fucking millimeters, dude. This is a game of millimeters. Guys here, they step back. They're, you know, the attacker's punch misses by millimeters and they're back over the top to counter and land a shot, you know, counter a shot. It's this much. And so now that timing that you've had your entire career, you know, the step back to here, you're off by a fucking fraction of a second. And instead of it missing here, boom, you're eating that shot. And then once you've eaten that shot, now you're rattled. And then now you've actually got fresh damage that you're dealing with. It's not just scar tissue, it's fresh damage. In every single fight, that's the other thing you need to think about is like, everyone goes into these fights with cumulative damage from the career, right? And that's scar tissue, you know, bones got knocked out of place, never really healed exactly right, muscles that have been torn and there's scar tissue in there. All of that stuff builds up, right? That's what you go into the fight with. Okay, well, as soon as you eat a shot, a big shot in a fight, now you got fresh damage, all right? Now, you know, and that's why if a guy eats a bunch of shots in a fight and they're not tired, you know, it's like they're not tired. They've just gotten battered in the first round. They start moving slower, right? You don't see a guy that moves exactly the same, you know, 2 minutes into a fight after they've eaten 5 heavy shots to the head. It's like they're a fraction off. It's the same exact thing. It's fresh damage, so everything is not working the same way that it does previously. Okay, once you hit a certain point, you are now a diminished version of yourself, and it can't ever come back. It just cannot be fixed. Now, you might be able to work your game around that, but that's what it is. And, you know, when people are putting these videos out that are comparing Tony Ferguson moving in recent fights versus other ones, it is extremely obvious. Extremely obvious. Especially because of his fight style. He always took crazy chances. He was never a guy who was like, you know, super concerned about eating shots. He was the boogeyman. Terrifying. A terrifying thing to have in front of you. I told you guys, I've told some of the people who watch this video, but at UFC 274, that's the first time that I'd seen Tony Ferguson fight live. And I have not ever had a visceral reaction to seeing someone in person like I did him. Like, all of these guys are fucking animals, dude. I mean, bottom line, all of these guys are animals. But usually when I see a guy that I recognize in person, there is like this mixture of personality and the fighter, right? It's like I look at them and I'm like, all right, this is kind of who this guy is. And you kind of have, I don't know, whatever emotional reaction, you know, you have an emotional reaction to every single person that you interact with, no matter what, whether they're, you know, a teacher that you had in school, one of your friends you see every day, someone that you know at work, like you see them, you're going to have an emotional reaction to it. And it just depends on the person, what it is. So with fighters, it's the same. You either kind of really like a guy or whatever. With Tony, when he walked up the stairs and I saw that tattoo on his back, that in this completely recognizable tattoo, I can't even explain it. I like the guy looking at him, to me, I'm like, that's what pure violence looks like. Like there is nothing else there. Like there, you know, he's goofy on the microphone. You know, he's whatever when he's out and whatever, but there is nothing but sheer fucking terror right there. He is the scariest dude on earth when it comes, like, to me, and I've seen so many fucking guys fight, but he is the scariest, dude. He's the scariest. Now, the fact that he's diminished and is going to have a hard time with the absolute top guys in the division doesn't matter. He is the scariest motherfucker on earth, dude. At least to me. Sheer violence. Nothing but fucking destruction, man. You know, but the movie ends the same for everybody. You know, the movie ends exactly the same for everyone. And that's what I talk about all the time. Where it's like, this life that they've chosen, right? They are sacrificing in some ways or another the back half of their life for glory in the front half. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, obviously. People like Bisping, who has an incredible life now. And like, if he would have gone another direction in life, he would not have this life, most likely, right? If he wouldn't have become a superstar fighter, what he's doing now would probably be nowhere near as cool as what he's doing now. Chael, same thing. Like, there are obviously exceptions to the rule. But the vast majority of guys have sacrificed what would have been a much easier life in the second half of their life for chasing glory in the front half. They're chasing after what Bisping and Chael have, what Conor McGregor has, maybe Anderson Silva, you know, guys like that have actually turned it into like a long-term thing. You're talking less than like probably 0.5%, something like that. Maybe actually probably much less than that. 1 in 1,000 guys has that. Maybe less than that. And the movie ends the same for everybody. And so it doesn't matter the sheer, whatever they look like, the movie's going to end the same. It's just a matter of how long it goes and how bad it gets. You know, if they kind of can't wrap their brain around where they are. But Beneil Dariush, he just took 2 knockouts in a row and he's already like, look, I want to compete, but is it right for me to compete? You know, he's a good dude. A good head on his shoulders also, right? But like, he's like the other extreme. He lost 2 fights in a row to 2 exceptional top of the bill fighters. And he's already thinking like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. And then the other end of the world is Tony, you know? So, all right, I want to show this really quick, the Bisping thing. And then also I just want to show you exactly what Bisping says at the very beginning here.
And a lot of people are saying that Tony Ferguson needs to retire. And that if he loses this fight, he should definitely retire. Dana White came out recently and said he won't tell him to retire, but he would certainly advise him to if he was asked.
Yeah, I mean, I would let Tony make that decision, but I'm sure if he loses the Paddy, he would probably look at calling it. He's had a great career, done a lot of things, had a lot of big fights, and probably be a wrap for him, hopefully.
He's not going to tell him what to do. Now, Tony Ferguson has lost a lot of fights. He's lost 6 in a row. Tony Ferguson has gone from having the longest win streak in the UFC's lightweight division, the toughest division in all of the sport, to now the longest losing streak in the UFC's lightweight division, okay? That's quite a U-turn, okay? And we know what Tony's been doing. And by the way, let's just go through those losses, because some of them, they were bad. They were finishes, and we all know that. There were some terrible knockouts. Michael Chandler turned him into a meme, turned him into a chicken nugget, right? But if you go through them, Justin Gaethje couldn't get the job done. Finish him, I mean. The referee had to save Tony from himself. That's how much of a warrior he is. Charles Oliveira, do Bronx, right? The most submissions.
Jesus, I forgot about that. That was insanity, dude. Look at that. And then from there, from that position, he switched the arm over and put it underneath his armpit and twerked it and did that thing. And Tony, he couldn't get Tony out of there, which is just absolutely bananas, dude. You know what? Honestly, I don't want to step on Bisping's whole video. I just wanted to show you guys that because I thought especially the thing about the longest win streak in UFC history, lightweight division, to the longest losing streak, that's pretty crazy, dude. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But if you listen, Bisping's not telling him to retire. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that is, I don't know. It's taboo to me, you know? And then also, I wanted to show you guys this too. This is Rogan talking about.
Can't be good. I'm no expert on fitness. Well, fitness is important, but sparring is very important too. And, you know, timing is important, and training and technique and drilling and being prepared to do specific things. It's just, when fighters get older, they can't move as good. There's a bunch of shit that you don't see. Right, yeah. They might have knee things that you don't see. They might have back things that you don't see. So they look the same. There's apparently a video.
You guys get the point. I'm going to finish this video in a second. Hang on.